So I'm going to show you how to create scenes that fade in. We will create our ActionScript 3 document. Remember, we need to use ActionScript 3 so that we can work with scenes. So here is our first scene, and I'll just quickly draw out with a black brush. I'll just put a big number 1 here, so we know that's scene 1. Now I will, in Window, turn on my scenes, and I'll dock that under the library. At the bottom we have our Add Scene button, and you can now see there's scene 1 and here's scene 2. We can also switch between our scenes using this clapperboard icon too. Scene 1 with the number 1 and scene 2 which is still blank. Let's now draw out a number 2. Okay, here's scene 1 and here's scene 2. So we're going to now fade between scenes. You'll notice we have a white background, so it would make sense that we fade through white. How do we do this? We go to scene 1 and we create a new layer, and I'm just going to call this layer Fade. And on this fade layer, I'm picking up the rectangle tool with a white stroke and a white fill, and I'm going to cover the entire scene. If I turn off that fade layer, we can see the rest of the scene underneath it. So that's now ready to go. At the 40th frame, right click and insert frames. Right click and insert frames here again. And we now have a 40 frame animation to play with. Let's say that at frame 25 the scene starts to fade out. What I'll do here is right click and insert a keyframe. We obviously don't need the white overlay to begin the scene, so I'm deleting that. Now if we play through our timeline at scene 25, the white cover appears on top of the scene. I'm now going to select our big white shape and modify Convert to Symbol. I'm going to call it White Fade, and it must be a movie clip because movie clips allow us to do what we're about to do. Clicking OK, we now have our symbol sitting on the layer ready to be faded out. Click onto that symbol. In the Properties panel, you'll see we have a color effect, and we're going to be playing with alpha. So alpha at the moment should be 100, and you can see as we decrease the alpha, we make that white overlay invisible or transparent. So the aim here is to create a motion tween. At frame 25, alpha is 0. At frame 40, alpha is 100. And you can see how that will fade out our scene. Simply right click and create a motion tween in that space. At frame 25, the alpha is 0. Let's jump to frame 40. Click on the symbol. Let's make alpha 100. And that's how it's done. We have now faded our scene out. That's called a fade to white. I'll now press Control Enter on a Windows machine, Command Enter on a Mac, and let's watch the transition from scene 1 to scene 2.